October 30th, 2023 meeting of the Ayer Board of Health is in order. Public input on stuff other than things that are on the agenda. Any general public input here? Yep. Okay.
Brian Perwack, 108 Pleasant Street.
Okay.
I have two copies of the letter that I'm going to read. One for Bridget, which I don't think she's going to be here tonight. Can you pass it along to her?
She's not going to be here tonight?
No, she had a conflict with Dunstable, yeah.
Board of Health, Chairperson, thank you for holding the public comment portion of this meeting. Board of Health members, I'm here tonight as a concerned and disappointed resident of the town of Ayer. We continue to be challenged by an abutting property's unwillingness to keep their belongings contained within their property. We've been patient as the town has revised and enacted regulations for the keeping of animals and fowl. We've supported the effort to cooperate with those who are out of compliance to become compliant. However, more recently, we've been increasingly frustrated as the process seems to be reversing. I'd like to reference Section 4, Paragraph A, Line 9 of the regulations of the keeping of animals and fowl effective 1/14/2019. And this is attached herein. Okay. Property barriers such as fencing or other appropriate measures shall be installed on areas of the property where keeping of animals exists. These barriers shall be secured in such a fashion as to prevent the escape of animals. Since issuing a keeping of animals and fowl permit to a resident in our area on July 24th, there have been 9 documented incidents reported to the Ayer Police Department of unsecured animals that have left the property from which they originated. Those incidents are described in the attached police reports and occurred on 8/2, 8/23, 8/26, 9/28, 9/30, 10/1, 10/2, 10/10, and 10/29. Some of these incidents resulted in property damage. I'd like to reference Section 9 of the regulations of the keeping of animals and fowl effective 1/14/2019, attached herein as well. Any person who violates this regulation may be penalized by non-criminal disposition as proved by Mass General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 21D, and the town's non-criminal disposition bylaw. If non-criminal disposition is elected, then any person who violates a provision of this bylaw shall be subject to the penalties as follows. First offense, $25. Second offense, $50. Third offense, $100. Fourth and further offenses, $300. Please consider this a formal inquiry as to the status of this penalty schedule with regards to the recent violations in connection with the same permit issued on July 24th. I would like to reference Section 4, Paragraph A, Line 15 of the regulations for keeping animals and fowl effective 1/14/2019, attached herein. Notice of said hearing shall be provided at the applicant's expense to all abutters within 100 feet and by the publication in a newspaper of general circulation in the town, once at least 7 days prior to the hearing. To my knowledge, this was not completed as required. Please consider this a formal inquiry as to the status of this requirement in connection with the same permit issued on July 24th. Clearly, the aforementioned highlights a system that's not working. Unfortunately, this is a consistent problem that many of us have been plagued with for decades. A letter I wrote to the town administrator on December 2006 concerning this exact issue concludes with, as we and our future children anticipate spending more time in our rear lawn, we should not have to constantly monitor our property lines to ensure that neighboring livestock is not threatening our family. In that same letter, I write, in closing, I leave you to answer this question. Should I feel obligated to install a fence on my property for the protection of my family due to a neighbor's utter disregard for animal control? I'm still asking these same questions 17 years later. I implore you to take a stand and act appropriately to protect the health and safety of this town, as you have been sworn to do. We, the residents of Pleasant Street neighborhood, are no longer going to accept the growing complacency that is surfacing relevant to the regulations for keeping of animals and fowl. Sincerely, Brian and Jamie Perwack. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have a copy of that?
I
Okay, and
circulated
you've
two
like
copies
logged,
in their entirety. They have all the.
okay, all right, great. Make sure, yeah, just get them logged
Yeah.
in or whatever as the board. Thank you very much. So I also have a copy of the summary police report. So you are Brian Perwack are you Jamie? Okay, all right. I just want to, trying to match up faces and names, okay. Okay, got it. All right. So, we did kind of get into the 17 Taft Street, so we probably started public input on that, I guess. So, the situation is, we did vote to give Ms. Maxine Schultz a conditional license. The condition, or permit rather, the permit was conditioned on cleaning up some items and coming into compliance with the animal control regulation. So there was an inspection of the property that was performed back in July before the vote. There was, or was that right after the vote? You remember? It was around the time of the vote. There was another inspection that was performed last week. Steve Slavsky was there representing the board. Bridget Braley was there also for Neshoba. Animal control officer was there. Of course, Mrs. Maxon and her attorney were there as well. And I think that's it. Is that everyone, or was there anyone else there?
Ruth was there, and her attorney was with her as well.
Yes, right, okay. So the report that I received back on that from everyone, sort of the aggregate of everybody's take on that, was that the conditions that were cited in our decision to award the permit have been substantially corrected in terms of there's now some secure storage, there's been some progress on trash and debris leaving. I understand that there are some things that need to happen before that can be completed. But yeah, I'm very concerned about the fencing and about the neighborhood. So I'd like to invite Ms. Ruth or your attorney to tell us what's going on. You could come up and join us. What is a difficulty apparently with keeping the animals,
Madam
keeping them home on the farm?
Madam Chairperson, before we
Yes.
entertain, was there formally a permit for this farm?
Formerly,
I understood when I got on the board that there had been a permit that had been issued,
a long time ago.
so there was formally a permit.
Yes,
And it
yes.
lapsed.
Yes, yes, there
But there
was.
was a permit.
There was a permit, yes.
I don't think you
Yes.
call it.
I'm not asking Ruth,
Yeah,
okay?
But
But there was a permit.
yeah, yes, there
And
was.
to my knowledge, there was no communication to the Board of Health about animals escaping prior to my being there last week on the inspection. Were you aware of any
Not
reports?
that I was,
Were you aware?
no, it was
Aware.
mostly just
No.
the property itself and
I
how
informed
Yeah.
the appearance.
You informed Bridget. There was no
Yeah.
information that came my way other than at the inspection, I was told there were 11 incidents that had
And I
occurred.
didn't know it was that many. I had just received one call of
Yeah,
that it had happened.
So the reports back to the Board of Health, I take real offensive someone saying that we're not acting in our appropriate manner. And I understand the anguish about it, but I take this very responsibly, and I don't shrug it off at all. I'm also sympathetic for it, and at the same time, I'll look for resolution. I don't appreciate being castigated, though.
yeah, understood. We as Board of Health, and I know it's frustrating because it's a small town, and you would think that if you tell one person at town hall, then kind of everybody knows. So I'm not really sure why we didn't have the information about as many animal escapes as there have been up until now. Yes?
So
Go
I
ahead.
did call the Board of Health and speak about this, and I actually asked for a call back from a board member, and I never received it.
And when was that?
I'm not quite sure. I called during the day, so I must have spoken with an administrator who answers the phone at that time. And
Sam?
I explained the situation about the
Yep.
animals getting out, and I also said I had some questions about the animal and fowl permit that I would like some clarification on,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
never received a call or call back. So this-
Okay, is that, right, is that are you 108
Yeah.
Pleasant
okay.
Street? Okay, on the 3rd of October, right?
Probably.
Sound about right?
Yeah.
About,
Yeah.
about 3 or 4 weeks ago? Okay. Yep.
But we also have been, speaking with Julie Thomas multiple times over this, and
Yeah.
so, I mean, do you want us to call you every time things happen as well, or
No, I don't really think that should be
Okay,
necessary.
yeah.
I just want to say that, to Steve's point, there's a bit of a gap in the communication here where the first notification as Board of Health that we received, the first thing that's really shown up on our calendar is that one from the 3rd, and I think this is our first meeting since that call.
And when I received the call, I did talk with Bridget, and I conferred with a couple others, and I was told that I should contact the police chief and the animal control.
Yeah, it's a difficult jurisdictional thing because our regulations do govern keeping of livestock mainly for health purposes. Although you're absolutely correct that the fencing requirement is in there, and that's a health and safety requirement as well. Animal control is responsible for making sure that, just what it says, your animals are under your control. So whether it's your dog on your leash or in your house or in your fenced-in yard, or if it's your horse or whatever it is, that's kind of more of a police issue. So we're bumping up against two different jurisdictional things. Not that should be the neighborhood's problem, but just in the interest of explaining.
Well,
Yes.
I would like to remind everybody that our community issues date back 17 years, which I commented on.
Yep, I understand
We're
that.
not talking about 17 days here.
I understand
We're
that.
talking about 17 years. So we're not really willing to hear that miscommunication is what's going on.
I'm not telling you that miscommunication is what's going on here. I am simply saying that in order to fix the problem, we've got to move forward, and we can't go back 17 years. Yes, it's a travesty that you have had this problem for 17 years. And I would be every bit as mad as you are sitting in your seat right now. So you have my absolute full empathy on this one, everybody that's in the neighborhood. I believe the dates that are in the police report. We don't have to go back 17 years. If we just go back to March of this year, and I believe you added one more date, all the dates that you listed from your letter are in the police summary report, except for the 10/29. So there was another incident was that yesterday? Yesterday, okay. So that actually is not in here. So, and you are correct that it is part of our regulation that says that there has to be fencing, the fencing has to be secure, you gotta keep the animals on your own property. So, what's going on? Why are the animals not on your property? And why should this not influence whether or not you are issued a permit for the keeping of livestock?
Well, part of the problem is that I was told, because it was brought to our attention that have been so many. Some she knows about, some she has not, because sometimes they can get out and they just come back after they've done whatever they're doing. It doesn't excuse it happening. We acknowledge that and recognize that. But a tree, we had a conversation with the members that were there the other day, and Ruth informed them that a tree had fallen down and knocked down the fence, and that was a source of them escaping. if you will. And she wasn't aware of the fence being broken for a while, so that's why they kept getting out. And so the fence has been repaired. And then we've been looking at doing research on fencing and how to keep goats in.
So when was the repair that you're describing? Is that
It was
recent?
about
Pretty recent?
Well, the last one was just repaired, whatever, several weeks ago.
A
2,
couple
3
weeks ago.
2, 3
Okay.
weeks ago, yeah, with a big tree came
And I
down.
think it was probably around the time where you saw a lot of the calls coming in.
Well, the horses and the goats.
So
All for animals.
it's kind of hard to concentrate when
Okay.
people are talking over you. So with that being said, we've been looking at and researching the whole idea, and we've taken some measures. We found one of the major Houdinis who's there. He's been tethered now, and he's no longer seems to be the problem. But we're trying to figure out, to be honest with you, because the fencing is there, and it is the proper height for regulations for the fencing. So it's not like we're not paying attention to the rules or trying to be aware of the problem. But it is an issue just in general. And the kind of the joke that we saw about, when people inquire as to how to keep goats in, they said a 7-foot-high cement wall with barbed wire over it may be, a remedy. And then underneath it says there's no guarantee. So.
Madam Chairperson?
Yeah.
Can we just have some order here?
Yes, absolutely. You guys
Yeah.
just,
And this happened last time
Please.
I was here too, if I remember correctly.
most likely. I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of simmering frustration.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
we
I
sat
know.
here and remained silent
I understand.
the whole time. All right? If I were in a courtroom, people would be cleared out by now.
Understand.
Okay.
Can we stay on subject, please?
So now that I continue to have.
We could
the
all
floor-
leave if we can't be quiet. Everybody can leave the room except the two of them if you'd like. We're not going to do this. One person is going to speak at a time for the remainder of this meeting. Thank you very much, everyone.
Madam Chairperson, if I could, before we get into this, because we went up there on the 24th of October, and the conditional permit that was issued, we did an inspection, and there was a number of us there, and there were corrections that were made.
Yeah,
So
I understand.
From a health perspective, and I'm not an animal expert by any
Yeah.
means, the keeping of the feed in the driveway and containers, to me, was a health risk. It would draw animals, it would draw rats, whatever. That was taken care of. There's a container in the driveway, any
That's
feed
being-
is secured.
And that's being
And
used.
that was one of the conditions. Another one of the conditions was that the pond have some type of circulation. I want to say in July, Ms. Maxon advised us that the pond was dry. There was water in it when we were there on the 24th. And there was one other item. The fencing was never an item of our concern. It was never brought to our attention until the 24th. That was the first knowledge that I had that there had been any
Yeah, I
goats
know.
leaving
I
there.
know.
And Julie had advised me of that. And I'm not accepting that as an excuse. I'm just saying that's a fact.
Yeah, I know. I know it.
But I will say, and again, not knowing anything about fencing of livestock, that the fencing that's up there is haphazard at best. It fell down when we were trying to get out of there. It's held together very poorly. And I'm saying this as a layperson. I'm not an animal expert in terms of containing goats or containing anything. But I can tell you this, that is inappropriate. And there are companies out there that will put up a fence, and whether it keeps goats in or out, I don't know. But what you have there now, it wouldn't keep anything in. And again, just trying to leave, the thing fell over, the gate fell over. I didn't walk the perimeter of the property looking at the fencing. And I understand, Ruth, you had pictures of the tree that fell down. That's a single incident. That's one time. There's 11 different times that are, and that's just that we know about. And I read the regulations, and it's very clear. And this is not the Board of Health problem, it's the permits problem. Section 5, standards of care. All facilities for the keeping of one or more animals shall be securely fenced to prevent the escape of animals. Animals at no time shall be allowed to roam unattended from the designated area noted on the application. You signed this application. You knew about this. It's not our problem. It's your problem to fix. And I guess, Madam Chairperson, I'd like to know what their resolution is, and it's not what you have there now. Someone needs to put a fence up.
Well, I know the section that you're referring to, and that's not where they're getting out, because it's piled over. It's in the other areas of the farm where, like I said, the tree has fallen down. There have been trees that have fallen down and knocked the areas of the fence down before, because it's in a perimeter where there are a lot of trees in addition to the residential areas. So, we'll take your information and everything else. We'll sit down and we'll go back and we'll discuss about a plan of action to address those things. But, if we fulfill the regulations and they're still getting out,
You have to explain that. How are you fulfilling the regulations?
Well, if the fence is up to the height it's supposed to be.
Our regulation doesn't specify a height.
Okay, but I'm just saying that there are state regulations that give you guidance on these things. And so if
Guidance notwithstanding, the content of the regulation is what we're working with here.
I understand that. So if these neighbors want a 20-foot high fence around in front of their property.
No, they want a fence sufficient to hold in your
I did not interrupt
animals.
you when you spoke. I would appreciate it if you don't interrupt me.
Say your
What I was
piece.
saying
Yes,
was,
say your piece.
if they want a 20-foot fence up there or something with barbed wire,
Then that's what they're going to get?
then that's what they'll want. That might be a remedy for them. But I'm just saying that if there are regulations out there that you comply with, whether they're state or local.
You are not in compliance with your...
You are interrupting me.
Excuse me.
No, you are interrupting me. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. I am not done.
This is not how we're going to conduct this meeting. We can end this now if we cannot be civil to one another.
Then stop interrupting me, please. There are state regulations out there that assist in keeping proper fencing, that give you guidelines to this. Yours omit that. So where do they turn to? They turn to other regulations about how to manage your property when you have a farm and the proper size of fencing and things like that. If you feel so compelled to change that, then I think that would be within your parameter to do that. But beyond that, if we're complying with everything and these issues still occur, then there needs to be some group effort to figure it out. But there are minimum requirements that she has to comply with. And and I would suggest to you that is what she has done at this juncture. Notwithstanding the fencing in its condition, I acknowledge that. I do. And I have discussed that with her previously. So with that said, we'll go back and we will figure it out and try to come up with a plan.
Madam Chairperson?
First of all, I would like to give the attorney plenty of time to finish your statement.
I'm finished.
Are you finished?
Mm-hmm.
Let it be on the record that you are not in compliance with the Ayer Board of Health regulation for the keeping of animals. Does not cite any height, Clearly, a fence has to be effective. Otherwise, what is the point of the fence? I have dogs. I have a fenced-in area in my yard. I have bulldogs. My fence is 6 feet high. I don't have to worry about, are my bulldogs getting out and then coming back home and I didn't notice and they went down to the package store and I just missed them. I don't have to worry because they're not getting out of a 6-foot fence. That is what you need to do if you want to have goats or llamas or giraffes or whatever animal you choose to have. You solely are responsible for making sure that your fencing is effective all the time. We're not talking about when a tree falls on occasion. We're talking about 12 or 13 incidents since March of this year. So, for the record, I would just like to say that I do find that you're not in compliance with these current regulations. And what is your plan to come into compliance?
I told you, now that we are aware of the problem that you have,
You've been aware of it.
yes, thank you very much. We'll come back when we have had an opportunity to look at the problem and everything else. You cannot expect us to come up with some type of a game plan right now without understanding the cost associated with it and everything else.
Can I just say, this is very familiar, and I had no idea, by the way, it was a 17-year-old problem. I totally empathize with you.
It is old.
I feel like, just since I've been on the board, and the few times that Ms. Maxon has come before us, that it's always, okay, we're going to fix it. Can you give us a month? Can you give us this many days? And I can understand why they're frustrated, because we keep putting it off and putting it off. I don't know how fast this can be remedied, but I feel like, are we able to give a timeline and a time frame for this to be?
We can give a time frame and conditions on which we're going to extend the permit. Permit expires, is it October 31st?
Tomorrow.
Yeah. So we either vote that not to issue a permit, we can vote to issue it with some conditions or some restrictions, or we can grant the permit and entertain enforcement.
If we were to vote with restrictions, is it up to us to put in writing in the language of the restrictions so that there's no wiggle room, like, well, you said we put up a fence?
No, I think the language would speak specifically to the regulations. A fence that is effective in securing the property with the animals that you've chosen, because if you have goats, maybe those requirements are different from if you have something else.
Like you said about dogs.
And that would be measured by, is it continuing to happen? Only one person in this room has these animals. You can't visit this on everybody. You just can't. These folks did not choose to have goats. They didn't choose to have horses. They didn't choose to have any other kind of animal that is going to be disturbing their property and their peaceful enjoyment of it. So I don't know what it's going to take, and I don't believe that that's up to us to define a fence of a certain type of construction, of a certain footage. But I certainly think that we can craft a restriction that says that you must install a fence and maintain it properly that does what it needs to do.
Madam Chairperson,
Yes?
I think the regulations speak for itself, and no one's suggesting a 20-foot fence. No one's suggesting barbed wire. You need to figure this out yourselves. This is not a Board of Health problem. It is a Ruth Maxon problem. And I'm sure that there are fence companies out there that other people have used. It may cost some money to do it. I don't know. And that's not my issue either. My issue is that it gets done. And I would say 30 days to tell us what you're doing and maybe have it implemented. Or if you can do it, 30 days is not unreasonable. You can pick up the phone and call a fence company tomorrow and have someone come out and give you advice in terms of, but what you have now doesn't work. It doesn't work. So I would be comfortable saying 30 days, and if we hear nothing, then the permit is revoked. The other thing about the permit, it clearly gives the board the ability to fine for not compliance.
Right.
And I would strongly suggest that any waivers have been given and any other escapes or whatever, the animals roaming freely, that the fines be levied. And again, that's not our problem, it's your problem. Why wouldn't we say, you've had 11 tries to stop this.
Exactly.
We're gonna start,
Yeah, understood.
first offense, second offense, third
Right,
offense,
right.
and go from this day forward. And I would have done this before if I'd known about it,
Yeah.
but I didn't. I would have suggested it, let me put it that way.
I understand as a practical matter that we can't say tonight, you must install a fence, and tomorrow morning it will be there, and no goats will get out from, or anything else from tomorrow going forward. But we do have to put a timeline on this that we can live with.
May I say, may I?
Absolutely.
So in the interest of fairness, it is a farm. It's the only one in Ayer. I don't know what Root's resources are to be able to put a fence in, because a fence could be very expensive. There are other things to be evaluated with this whole thing, to be honest with you. And I think a 30-day opportunity to come back with the plan is more realistic, because it's going to have to be an evaluation of financial resources as well. And I will say, if I may add one thing, this farm was here before everybody around it was there. And it doesn't excuse the fact that there are problems, but people moved into this, what we call, challenge, if you'd like. And you may or may not agree with it, but when you move into something that is there, there's pros and cons to it. This is a con, no doubt about it. It happens, and it's unfortunate, and we don't want it to happen. She doesn't want to have her livestock running around out there. It's not safe for anybody. And with that said, I prefer that there be a program and to at least give her an opportunity to figure out what she's capable of doing, and to the extent, because we don't want to have to put fencing around the whole perimeter of the whole farm if that's something that can be avoided because of expense.
You just need to put fencing in the areas that the animals have access to.
We understand that.
So if you can do that by limiting access, you can do that.
Yeah. We understand that, but it also has, fencing is not cheap, and it can't be something plastic from Home Depot.
Right, but this is where I think both sides need to understand and respect the fact that these are your client's goats. They're not their goats.
Right, I understand.
If she can't afford to maintain the goats on her property, then she doesn't get to have goats. You can't visit your wants and desires on your neighbors in that way.
We understand that.
It's gonna stop. 30 days, you can have a plan in 30 days.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Your plan for correcting your fencing so that you have no more escapes, like a written plan with execution, commitments for execution dates within 30 days. And there is no hardship exemption, because you can't own animals and visit them on other people and then say that there's a hardship. There is no hardship. It's your choice.
On at least Well, just the occasion you mentioned, like 2 days ago, that the goats are out. I don't believe they were out. I never saw them out. When did they get out?
I don't know what that instance was. I have a police report here that I believe, so I think that if a date is given in a police report, we've got to go with some assumption that it was.
Well, I know that in the past.
I don't think we need to belabor.
No, we don't need to hash out individual, this isn't about any particular individual incident.
Well,
The other part of that is I would like to start enforcing the fining if this continues happening
Yeah,
immediately.
exactly,
You know, put that in the
exactly.
form of a motion if that's appropriate.
Yeah, actually, I think we've had a lot of discussion. You're feeling good about you can do a plan within 30 days?
I hope we can. We'll do our best. I mean,
I would move that we extend the temporary permit for 30 days conditional upon having a written plan and execution date for appropriate fencing to contain the animals that are on the farm.
In 30 days, will the fence be done, or you're asking for a
The
written
plan.
No,
plan?
With
the plan and
the
with
execution.
execution dates that we can
And if
then track.
if there's a second, then maybe discussion.
I second.
So for discussion, you know, if we don't have a plan in 30 days, then the permit is expired.
Right,
That's gone.
exactly.
And the other part of, I didn't put it in the motion, but the regulations allow us to fine. I would fine, I guess in terms of discussion, any other events that are reported to us or to the police
Yep.
that are documented, that the fining procedure will start with the next event.
It's a motion?
Well, that's part of
I don't know if you really have
my
to
intent.
actually make a motion
It's
for
my
that.
intent.
Yeah,
So I second that.
all right. Let's actually do a vote on that. So it's three things. It's conditional extension of 30 days based on getting a fencing plan with execution dates. If not,
That is appropriate for containing.
that is appropriate, right, to contain the animals. Permit expires if there is no plan, and fining, because you've had the regulation for forever. So
Yeah,
I think the
fining-
fining under the regulation is, I don't even know if we need a motion for that, but
Right.
we can do it anyway.
may I comment?
Of course.
One of the issues that we're going to have now is she's not aware of sometimes of these incidents, and I'm not sure as to how. What's the standard going to be if
Police report.
just calls and says there's a
Police report. We have an animal control officer
neighbors-
that's responsible for,
Yeah.
specifically
okay,
for
so
that.
as long as there's some verified proof of it.
Yep.
I'm just saying,
That's-
I don't want to be,
Yep.
coming.
I don't want to do this based on, I think, I heard, yeah, yep.
There seems to be a lot of verified proof in the police report. People were taking videos and all that, and they've shared that.
So I think continuing that is not an issue.
in the past, there's been at least 2 police
Vote on the
reports.
motion. I don't
Yeah,
think
we have to
it's-
finish this.
Does your comment have anything to do with modifying the motion that we've made?
Well, just,
Yeah.
I can see that you have identified that there is supporting evidence for the violations, maybe
Yeah.
just referring to that in the motion, just for clarification, because she's feeling uncertain and wants some,
Okay.
at least some clarity in that.
Okay. The motion is then, do you want to amend it partly based
Well,
on?
just clarification, if you'd like, is that it's 30-day extension
Yep,
with a written plan and
Yep.
execution dates to contain the animals that are in the permit,
yep,
and that the violations that are documented by the police department, the fining will commence at the next report that is documented and verified.
okay.
Documented and verified.
Documented,
And verified.
Police
This is
report.
discussions.
and how is,
Police report.
and how is that to be verified? Because there's been at least 2 occasions in the past where I know my goats were not out.
If
And
there's
yet
a
the
police report saying that your goats were observed out.
If they were observed, okay, because I know at least 2 occasions someone had called and my goats were not out then.
Can I move the motion?
Probably not.
Yes, absolutely. Let's go forward.
I second it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Do we want to repeat it back, or are we all set?
No.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Are we clear?
Yeah.
Yep,
Thank-
absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I look forward to receiving your plan. You have my contact information. Please get a hold of me or Bridget. Is there anything that comes up in the meantime?
I
Yes?
just have a question. Since
Yes.
it seems like you weren't notified of the instances in that case and you were kind of surprised by them. In the future, when we, because we were always told to call animal control.
Yeah.
So in the future, should we also notify the Board of Health or will you and the animal
Madam
control
Chairperson?
have?
If I can answer that, she does a great job in terms of documenting any phone call that comes into her, and we get a copy of that. If Samantha thinks that the chair needs to be notified, I think she has the discretion and clearly the knowledge to do that.
I think, I think you don't really need to. I think that now that this is kind of on a heightened level of, we're paying attention to it specific to this regulation and this license. I will talk to Julie, I'll talk to Bridget. I just want to make sure that anything that gets reported to police either makes its way to Sam or to Bridget so that this board is in the loop. But no, you don't have to do double reporting. You don't need anything else on you. Yes, yes.
I just want to let you know that we have called Ruth before we called the police.
Yeah,
Let her know
yeah.
the animals, and she has not been home or whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we leave a message on her answering, and we live right across the street.
Yeah, and I've seen a few times too, even in the police report, that the neighbors have brought the animals home and, so I think they're doing what they can. You just want to plant something and know it's still going to be there.
Well, I have a 3-year-old and a 5 and 6-year-old, and it's scary when you have 2 horses in your backyard running around.
That's a good point too.
And
Yeah.
our properties connect to each other, and
Yeah,
the thing is,
exactly.
While I know you need some lines, but quite frankly, I don't care about the cost. I care about safety of my children. And this-
No.
You don't want to debate this, though.
No.
To me, that's not an issue of the cost.
No, we've been very clear about that. It's not a matter of
Deadline,
cost.
that's, I
Yeah.
think, is the issue, so what, now I know.
Yeah.
Means for the next 30 days, I have to observe and see no one is there, that I can actually go and play in my own backyard. I have a dog that has electric fence because I invest money into protecting neighbors and my
Yeah.
animals, right? I think
Yep.
it should go both ways. Whether or not the farm was here for 200 years or however long, we'll share the neighborhood. And to what you're saying, I went over to Ruth's house, but I couldn't get a hold of her when
Yeah.
at one point they were out and there were gentlemen doing some work next to the whatever. He's like, you won't get a hold of her, just don't
Yeah.
bother. And so.
No, I understand. And the solution is to fix the fence.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess
we just have to have that as a
the question I
solution.
have is if you're doing 30-day, but then you have to have a hard deadline for when it's actually going to get installed.
That's why we said in the plan, I want
Right.
their proposed dates, and then that will get built
Right.
into the next step, going forward.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
No, please.
Do we get to discuss those dates? Because my concern is we regroup in 30 days.
Yep.
And Ruth's plan is to install a fence in a year from now, when
Let's wait
she
and see
has
what
the
the plan
finances
is.
to do that. That's not protecting myself, my property, or my family.
Yeah, I
We
understand.
get to have a
Yep.
voice in that
Yeah, absolutely.
installment date.
Yeah, the plan will come up, plan will be presented.
Great.
And that information will come up at another one of these. I don't want you to feel as neighbors that you're not part of this decision. It's a very frustrating situation that you're in, and, and we want to support Ruth as well, because we want you to be able to have your animals. We just want everyone to be fair and safe.
No one has ever said that the neighborhood doesn't want a farm. They just,
Yeah.
they're simply saying is
Yeah.
that we don't want the farm on our property. No one has ever said
Right, yeah,
that we
yeah.
don't want a farm, because that's not the case.
Yeah.
If you asked every abutter, that's not the case.
Well, it's a different thing entirely from, do you want a farm in your neighborhood versus do you want a goat in your vegetable garden or flower garden? So, yeah, it's a different thing. One is reasonable to deal with having a farm in the vicinity, but on your own property is not.
If I may just add, it may not be putting a new fence in, it may be just extending the height of the existing fences or adding fencing to limit the area or something like that.
If it's in effect, do the fence. That's going to be the end measure.
I just don't want people
Yeah.
to think that there's going to be brand new fencing or anything like that.
Oh, yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Appreciate your patience.
Good luck with that fence siting. That sounds like a great idea.
Thank you, Brian.
Aggravation, that's all that is.
I know. That's a little catharsis. Just let people get it out of the system a little bit. All right. So there we go. So can you then take it from there, Sam, as far as getting the... I'll talk to Bridget too and let her know.
And I'll double check with, make sure Julie tells me.
How does the finding process work?
How does the what?
Oh, the
Fining.
fining process, is there anything in the
Who
regs?
issues the fine?
Charlie technically does it. I'll talk to him because with his department, we have the fine book.
Yeah.
Or it might be Julie as the animal control officer.
I
Because
would
I know
think,
she can find people for like dog tags.
In some of the, let's see, in some of our more recent regs, we actually put something in there about who can, animal control officer, no, that's taken to custody.
I just don't know how the fine thing is actually.
Yeah, no, this has come up before because it's always been that kind of, well, how do we issue a fine?
But I think it should
Yeah.
be.
I'll figure it out.
I'll talk with Charlie and Mike because they do all the fines for like building and stuff, but I know Julie
Yeah.
can do it for dog licenses. I know she does it for that.
Yeah, and I'll ask Bridget too, because it's specifically a fine against this regulation. It's not a fine against the police department regs or the
Yeah,
or
so
the bylaws like it would be for Charlie. So.
I can double check.
It says the animal control officer is authorized to enforce sections 136A to
There you go.
174F. That's a
There you
pretty
go.
big.
One, I believe though that section 136 is the, I think that's the stuff about reporting rabies and,
Well, that's a pretty big enforcement, 136A to 174F to get more specific.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll figure out who.
There was improvement in terms of
Yeah, you said,
what it was,
yeah.
but there's still debris that's not consistent with the farm, but I think it falls more into Charlie's purview in terms of nuisance than it does.
Yeah.
And as I said before, the big thing to me was that the food was secured, and it was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think, if we had known that the goats were in the neighborhood, we would have taken action, but I wasn't aware of this. I mean,
I didn't.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. And I understand their frustration too.
I do,
because
but I
it's
don't like to be castigated.
Yeah, I
in
know.
public.
I know.
No, that's not appropriate,
I had no idea, 17 years.
Oh,
I did.
oh yeah.
Really?
Oh
Is
yeah.
The file upstairs
The file is enormous.
takes up half a drawer.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's right. This issue does go back absolutely that far. So, what?
And again, the resources are not my problem. If I decide I want to have a racetrack and the racetrack has to have a fence around it, then I have a fence around my racetrack. If I can't afford to have the fence, then I can't
You
afford
don't
to have
have
a racetrack.
the racetrack. Exactly. This doesn't look like it says specifically who can issue the permit, but I will figure it out.
Well,
Between,
the other
if you
thing
ask Charlie and I'll talk to Bridget.
This is not a new permit in terms of holding public hearings for the permit. We did have meetings on the permit. It might have lapsed, but there was a permit prior to this at some point in time for a
There
farm.
was. And,
So, I mean,
yeah,
there was.
there was ages ago.
But being told that we didn't uphold the process, I don't agree with that either. I mean,
Yeah, I gotta see this guy. Can you, did he give multiple hard copies or can you scan it?
I have two hard
Two
copies.
copies.
Okay,
Yeah.
can you just scan that and forward it to us then?
Absolutely.
So we'll also get it? Okay. Because I'll have to see what that's all about, what's all in there.
I understand the frustration.
oh, I do too.
I do too.
I feel like And that's why I said, I feel like this is like deja vu. And it shouldn't be.
It is.
It
It's
shouldn't be. Okay,
crazy.
you get another
It's
chance, you get
crazy.
another chance, another 30 days. It just, I don't know.
Where did I put that?
Yeah. No, I don't see anything in here about, all right. Anyway, so moving on. So it gets us over that hurdle, and I'm sure in 30 days we'll be. So we've got one agenda item. Sale of tobacco products fee. So,
Did that fine get paid?
It did,
Okay.
and then I received notice of a new fine from a new place.
Really?
Oh,
really?
So the jack-o'-lantern sold tobacco to a minor.
Oh, boy.
And the
He
fine-
hasn't paid it yet, but they
Okay.
do know.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
First offense?
Yeah.
Okay.
can I see that copy that you have of the regs? I was wondering on the fine schedule. I'm sorry to jump back.
Sure, here you go.
But I just,
So this came up because I was reading our tobacco regs, and it actually states that every year the Board of Health will vote on a new fee. Go figure.
I never knew that. Never knew. Never knew.
So I sort of just thought we should at least look at it. If we keep it 100, we keep it 100, but
Yeah.
Does that start on the calendar year or the fiscal year?
good
or
question.
I would say, I don't know. I mean, this is the time of year I mail them out because they all expire on December 31st.
Yeah, so that would be a calendar year.
I guess one of my thoughts are there other fees that we regulate and maybe look at them all at one time and make a decision on them rather than?
So the only other ones are the trash haulers, which is at $200, and then the animals is $30, and those are the only fees.
Yeah.
That should be an
Okay.
agenda item, I would think, so that if someone had comment on it.
Yeah, the question came up because Sam had rightfully pointed out that it's in the regulation, and I never knew that. So maybe what we could do is keep it, if we were to change it, I know we talked about dates, Sam, if we were to change it, we would have to, does it actually state the fee in the regulation?
The regulation states the fee will be decided yearly by the Board of Health.
Oh, okay.
It's not written out.
It's not a change to the regulation.
It's not a
Okay,
change to the
got it, got it,
regulation.
got it.
The
Okay.
regulation is you decide yearly. It's just been $100
Okay,
for I
okay.
don't know how many years.
So we just have to remember to do that as a vote when the licenses come up. I mean, my kind of thought process would be that this is really nice. Thank you for putting this together. It's interesting to see where we kind of fall in the, I guess we're kind of in the middle
Yeah.
there, really. I mean, you can't beat Ashby for $1.
I would bet some of these towns haven't looked at this though in 20 years.
So that's,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
why I included the last updates. The last
Yeah.
update is the last year they updated their regulations.
2001.
So
Yeah,
97.
Yeah. Yeah. I was kind of looking at that too. So when you look at it that way, some of the ones with the really low numbers are, 1995, 2001. So it might make sense to say, let's leave it at 100. And I don't know if we really have a way of assessing, like, what's truly the cost associated with this permit. But we leave it as 100, but consider this whole fee thing as a board, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Does anybody have a mind to move on this $100 fee?
I move that we leave the fee, the tobacco fee for the town of Ayer, leave it at $100.
Okay,
Second.
for next calendar year? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Shirley has none.
Shirley doesn't issue tobacco permits. Their regulations don't allow it.
Yeah.
Oh, so is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, and I think that I
Each
wanted to
day.
see what he was
That
citing.
is the only thing that's going to be meaningful.
Yes.
That's why I wanted a copy of what he had presented, because I wasn't familiar with that increase in
That will-
fee schedule from this
That will be
regulation.
meaningful.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Nothing else
No, the only thing that matters is what's in this reg. so.
Yeah. So I just thought that was interesting because.
Yeah.
Oh, woe is me.
Yeah, and that can add up. At $700 a day, you can, or $700 a week, yeah. Mm-hmm. You know?
Okay.
Get off with my copy. I have notes on that.
And I scribbled on one part there. In my.
It's okay. Oh, I use purple a lot, so I'll know whose it is. All
Okay,
right.
that's done.
So overview of regulations. When Sam discovered this interesting little quirk of our regs, we kind of got talking about regs in general and how some of them are really ancient, and then I tried to explain. Trish, were you on the board when we did this? When it was when Jane was admin, and we were kind of like looking at the regs and saying, well, that doesn't really need to be updated. We can just kind of keep it the way it is. So we did have, just in the interest of full disclosure, we did have a phase, and when I talked to Bridget today, she couldn't remember all the details of it either, but with it maybe 5-6 years ago, roughly, we did, if you went through all of the meeting minutes, you would find that on some of these regs, we said, yeah, it's good the way it is. I think that's kind of irrelevant at this point. We did a terrible job of tracking those sort of reaffirmations. So what I think makes sense to do is for Sam to get to us for the next meeting. What are all the regs that we have? And then when's the last time that we have anything that is really official of having updated it?
You know what, I do remember, we had a lot of discussion on the trash
Yep.
haulers. That went in and out a few times.
Yeah, I think trash haulers is pretty recent.
And tobacco, because we had Joan here. Those were the
Yeah.
two big ones, so.
Bridget today had mentioned wood-burning stoves,
Oh,
or
yeah.
wood-burning whatever they are, boilers, yeah. A
Yeah.
lot of towns don't even have that regulation anymore, so I want to get her into the loop too to see what she feels like possibly could we get rid of.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea.
And one we should look at, because part of this came up as I was talking to Danny, the new town planner, and we were looking at the new update of the zoning bylaws.
Yep.
And our aquifer protection
Yes.
regulation
Yep.
contradicts.
That was another one that
Yes,
we
it
went
does.
back and forth on.
Yeah.
So they contradict each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like actually, if you go on the town's website and you pull that one up, there's a big notice at the top of this contradicts each other, like it doesn't work.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So
Yeah, that was the one that popped into my head when you first mentioned regulations, that, yeah, I know that the changes to the bylaw kind of made what's in our reg kind
Yeah.
of beside the point.
That was another
at this
one.
point.
We
Yeah.
talked a lot about that.
Yeah, so if you could just get us let's just see what the lay of the land is there. I'll ask Bridget, if she can't come to the next meeting, then to kind of sort of weigh in on, she was up for, looking at over the winter, kind of picking off some of the regs and seeing what we need to update. So she said she could work with us on that, so,
yeah.
all right.
Yeah, because I had also noticed some of them, like, I don't know about the body art one, because we don't handle. Like,
Yeah, that one I really need her input. Yeah.
Yeah, and at the time, we had one here, then they moved out, and now, do we have any?
I don't know if we currently have any or not.
Technically, some of the things that they do at the salon.
Yeah, the salon, I think.
I don't know.
Yeah, it wasn't a.
The paper, they have all the paper.
Yeah, I think some of
Yeah.
the services they provide, but I don't think we actually have like a tattoo establishment anymore.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So if you could put then just that on, so that'll be kind of continuing business, and then we can take a look at the spread, and maybe I can convince people to pick a regulation and take a look at it.
I don't know about that.
Okay, so okay with regs? You guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're fine.
I know, they're super exciting. This all came out of, because we were doing stuff with the zoning bylaws, and then I was
Yeah.
trying to, so I was writing stuff for that and this, and then I went, oh no, this doesn't,
Yeah.
this all makes, this is a mess. We're gonna fix that.
I think that the environment may be more suitable now to revisit that regulation on the
What do you mean by
aquifer.
that?
We had a little board resistance
Oh, okay.
in the past to perhaps changing that one, but.
Yeah.
All right, anything else from Bridget? Anything else going on from Nishelba? Did she have any
She didn't
materials for
really
us or anything?
leave me anything today.
Yeah, she said it had been quiet, so.
Been quiet, she's just been doing inspections.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, good. That's good. Call log. So, yeah, 10-3.
Yeah.
Complain of escaping goats.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I know it.
I am concerned on the 23rd about purchased a house in Ayer concerned about nearby superconductor.
Yeah.
It's not specifically, but who would we, and I'm not sure I don't know what a superconductor is. I know what I've read about.
So this is near Devon.
This is on Devon's, and I don't know if it's a superconductor. I don't know what a superconductor is. There's a joint project with a commercial company and MIT on Devon's to generate power using, what's the atomic bomb? Is that fission or fusion?
Fusion. So this is fission.
This is either fusion or fission.
the
It's the
opposite.
opposite of nuclear
Yeah.
It's
That was fission, so this has got to be fusion. Yeah.
But it's using water and magnets to generate electricity. Oh yeah, this is big time stuff.
Fascinating.
so
But I don't know if it's a superconductor, but I would think
Is that a Devon's? That's a Devon's.
it's so
it's
this,
a Devon's, but if you live in Ayer, is there an impact of this thing on the town of
And
Ayer?
unfortunately-
I don't know.
and unfortunately, so the person called and their phone dropped the call, and I called them back actually, and the phone number I got, because they didn't even give me the phone number. I do have caller ID on my phone. That's
Yeah.
how I could catch it. It was this is a office number for Brandeis. Like, so I don't know if they're a
okay,
professor or if
so-
they live there. I couldn't get
Yeah,
that, so I
yeah.
called it, and then it was asking, I don't know which extension.
Do you know like the name of the company? Do you know anything?
You can, it's on Hospital Road, the
It-
building is huge, but
Hospital Road.
I was thinking there's got to be a public relations person.
There should be.
If you could maybe find out who the public relations person is,
Yeah.
because I do feel as though this is something, if someone asked me a question about this, is there an impact? I don't know.
That'd be someone through mass development because they
Oh,
are
yeah.
privy
I
to
know.
all of
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah.
So
mass
our,
development. I would.
our electrical inspector's there twice a week because
Okay.
he's the inspector there, so I'll ask him.
Ask him, and
Yeah,
if there's a, public information officer for this
And
business.
I know that actually the project manager too. So
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
But yeah,
Get some
from what
info.
I've read, this has the ability to revolutionize the generation of electricity.
Wow.
No,
It's-
it's just like,
Amazing.
this is like amazing stuff.
That's what it's going to
But I
take.
remember
Is some
when
like
it
big
went
quantum.
when it went in up there, there was all this chatter on social media. Oh, God, it's a nuclear reactor going to be in Devon's. I'm like,
Oh, yeah,
story
I know.
steady. And then it just, you didn't hear any more about it.
Yeah.
So
It's-
it wasn't finished at that time.
it's
either.
fascinating. They're still working on it, and it's little. This didn't work. Little tweaks here and there.
So it's an experimental facility still?
It's, so from what I did learn, it's creating power and getting more energy out of what you're putting in than what you used to make it.
Than what
So-
you used to make it.
what used to make it,
Yeah.
Because they have got it
That's
to
very
work,
cool.
but it takes more energy to make it work than what it produced. But now I
Yeah.
guess they're trying to figure out if, and I guess there's been some success of creating more energy than what you put in to make the energy.
That was the problem with aluminum when it first came out. They
Really?
made people that had a lot of money would buy dinner plates made out of aluminum because
Really?
it was so expensive to make.
Huh.
That,
Wow.
yeah, it took like some totally different way of making getting it out of the ore that made the cost come down.
But I can try and find someone.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Unfortunately, this person never, like, the phone cut out. I tried to call, they never called me
yeah,
back.
yeah,
They haven't
yeah.
called. I was like, I'm not gonna hunt through Brandeis's phone tree.
No, I think you've done your due diligence.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
But I think it's an interesting question.
It is.
You know, because if you live near power lines, you know, there's
Yeah,
energy that's given off by power lines.
Used to be.
yeah, that's a thing,
Yeah.
yep.
So you make a decision, do you want to live there or not, you know?
Yeah, this is,
It's like the railroad track, Steve.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. For the goats.
No, they don't.
All right.
Animal and fowl, bills from
If they ever call back,
Yeah.
ask them if they have any sources of information. Because if it's somebody that has an interest in this and knows about it, they even may know
So
some.
I know the construction company who does it. My father used to work for them.
Really?
So we happen to, we're still friends with them, and he was telling me about it because he got his like 19-year-old son like a summer job there. And
Really?
he thought it was like the coolest thing ever. And he really just had him like lugging rocks. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but he could say.
Yeah.
say.
Work.
It's great to put on your resume.
They were they're over
very
the
cool.
moon. They think it's cool.
It's very cool. Okay, so nothing remarkable, I guess.
Minutes. I did. It should be the minutes of 9/11, not 9/25.
I had no corrections. I thought they were,
There are no minutes of 9/25.
Yeah. Okay. Looks all right to me.
so if
Anybody?
am I signing these? Because I was the chair.
Good question.
Yeah, I wasn't.
I won't make I won't make the motion, then you guys can make the motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from September 11th, 2023.
Okay, I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstained. You want me to
This
sign that copy, or did you sign, did you write on that one?
No, I just underlined conditional permit, that's all. Do you have a clean?
I have
Yeah,
I've got mine.
Okay. Administrative matters.
I have things. I have no bills or mail though.
Oh, okay.
You did say that there was a complaint today, though, from Union Street, right?
Union Street, yes. I did receive a complaint early this morning. Both
Okay.
Julie and Bridget know about it of unregistered chickens.
Oh,
On
okay.
Union Street, the biggest complaint was they had 3 roosters
Oh, okay. I
and
see.
possible rats.
Yeah,
So
okay.
Julie was checking that out today and she's going to report back.
Okay, good.
But I haven't
Julie's on
heard
it.
anything.
And are they someone that has had chickens in the past, or is this?
Not in any recent years.
Okay.
So I don't know how new or old these chickens are, or
Okay. I'm sure Julie will get to the bottom of these chickens.
people keep popping out of the woodwork.
Yeah, really.
Or as one of my little brother's friends would say, Onion Street.
Onions?
Onion Street.
So I
It's not
have,
Onion Street.
I did receive a complaint today on Union Street. Nothing has happened with that yet. The only other thing I received was notification of a tobacco violation.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
yeah.
and I will be sending out the tobacco notices this week in the trash haulers, so
Okay.
we'll keep an eye on that one. And then the other thing I had were 2 more chicken permits.
Whoa.
So we have this one at 5 Groton Shirley Road. He's actually had them before. He is horrendously late.
Oh, okay.
He has 2 chickens
Yes,
left.
2 chickens.
That's it.
Oh. Up to 2 chickens. Okay.
My daughter's up to 10 chickens and 2 ducks.
Yeah.
Ducks.
Ashburn Hill.
Ashburn
She's
Hill.
up in Ashburn Hill.
So he came in. He's like, I'm so sorry. He had more.
Do I put today's date on it? Okay, which is 10:30, right?
Yes.
Oops, 23. Oh, jeez. I just wrote over it. For some reason, 2020. Wow, I'm in the
That's
Wayback
okay.
machine.
Fine. And then we do have a new one. These people, they are on 11 Wickham Ave.
Oh, yeah, they're the
9
ones
chickens.
that
Down by
are
you?
on my street. Yep. these are the ones that are new, right? Sam said she had never had chickens before, so she wanted to make sure they were gonna survive before she got the permit. God.
So Julie has been out, she's inspected. Everything seems to be okay.
Everything's fine. Yeah, they do have a lot. They go all the way down. It's Timmy Nolan's.
Oh, somebody
Old
brought that.
Yeah, Pedro's. Joe
Oh,
and
that's
Amy
right.
Pedro's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. Oh, I see where the coop is. It's on the, yeah, on the other side there. Very nice. All right.
I gotta go get candy. I say it every year, and no one ever comes to my house for
We
that.
never have kids either anymore.
I get I'm surprised. There's so many houses down there. That'd be
It's not that
fun.
many kids.
No.
Yeah, it used to be back in the day, we'd go all over town.
Yeah.
We have a lot of kids.
You
that
must
I-
have a lot because you have the haunted house down there. right?
Yeah, we do, but we're killjoys. I usually just don't have the light on because our dogs will have a heart attack.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I spent so many years with the day after Halloween, and I would still have one dog downstairs hiding in the basement. He was the biggest one, and he'd be like crammed behind this old refrigerator because he was so afraid. All right, so next meeting and dates.
Where
So,
are we? Let's see.
usually November and December, unless there's a matter of great urgency.
You get your 30-day thing.
Yeah, that's the thing that we've got up. So what is 30 days from?
Today's the 30th, right?
Yeah.
So
That's a two.
it would be the 27th of
Yeah.
November?
Yep.
And we are scheduled
Which
for
is-
a meeting that day.
That's the Monday after Thanksgiving, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah, we can just keep it,
You want,
let's keep it for that one.
all right?
Yep.
And then, do you want to still have the 13th or not?
I don't think we're gonna need to unless something else urgent comes up. We don't really have a whole lot going on right now. So let's say for time being, no, I think.
All right, and I'll contact you
Yeah,
the week before.
for that one, okay. So we're, 11, 27, and,
Question of the 13th.
yeah, 11, 13, probably not.
Okay.
And December, we usually kind of try to pick one like sort of in the middle there.
So actually,
What does
the
that
way
look like?
December works out, it's 11 and the 25th.
Yeah.
That's technically our schedule, so
Oh, geez.
You're just gonna do one, right?
Yeah. How about like the 18th
You
or
wanna do mid?
the 11th or the 18th?
yeah, do the,
Steve, you're gonna be away?
The 18th, we may go to Texas, I'm not positive.
Oh, for the holidays?
Well, but it may be later in the week too that we're doing that.
Okay.
Okay.
so do you want to?
11th or the
11th would
18th?
be better, I think.
Okay.
11th? Let's do the 11th then.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
12, 11. And that's good because it won't quite be 30 days on the 27th, right? So
But
if we have to,
Well,
yeah.
I think that the chair would have the authority to say, we need a special meeting or not a special meeting or whatever.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was hoping for.
We can work with that.
Yeah, we will figure something out. All right, is that anything else? Anybody have anything else?
No.
No?
Motion to adjourn.
All right,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 We
Well done,
are
Barry.
adjourned.